Hello and greetings to you. Thank you for opening this video and exploring the topic of women and men circles. I'm Bogdan Romanică, a nature-based human development guide from Romania, and I'm one of the persons that were involved in the creation of this video and of the material on which this video is based on. This video that you're just watching is an educational resource, or officially an intellectual output that was created within the Erasmus Plus project Women Empowerment. This project is the creation of 3 people. One of them is Książek from Poland. Anna is a trainer, a coach, a mentor, a youth worker, a storyteller, someone who is deeply passionate about making the world a better place, someone who's passionate about education and developing people become better versions. Another person that was involved in the creation of this material is Andrea Pucci. He's an Italian who started this path as a researcher and chemist, later on shifting into the world of youth work and trainings, being now an expert trainer in citizenship, change-making, participation, but also permaculture and community building. And myself as the 3rd expert in the topic of human development. As I said, I'm from Romania and I'm a trainer, mentor, guide, storyteller, and someone who is actively involved in human development. Together, the 3 of us, we created the project Women Empowerment. This project, as the title says, focused on the empowerment of women and men, coming up with an approach which is focused on women's work and men's work, which means educational practices in which men and women gather in gender-based groups to go through various practices, experiences, learnings and teachings which help them get in touch with their essence, cultivate their inner resources and the relationship with the others. Within this project, we created a bundle of activities. We've had online workshops, online men and women circles, offline, in-person women's circles and men's circles in our communities, an international mobility between participants from Romania and Poland, and then culminating with a training for facilitators of men and women circles. By doing all these experiences, we gain lots of insights, learnings, ideas about how to do women's work and men's work, and put all these ideas into a booklet, into a consistent resource, educational resource, which is available for free, and you can find it by looking at the link in the description of this video, and you can download it and use this resource for your own work with adults in general, but more particularly for working with women and men. We are aware that gender is a subjective idea, and that not everyone identifies with one of the 2 genders. Therefore, through this material and this video, we want to establish the fact that we are and want to be inclusive and respectful for all genders and all people regarding of their expression in this world. However, we want to offer something specific and particular to the 2 genders, at the same time emphasizing that we don't want to exclude or discriminate. So let's dive deep now into the concepts and ideas behind women's work, men's work, and particularly women's circles and men's circles. Why it's important for men and women to gather in separate groups? Well, we believe that in some ways men and women have some particular developmental needs. Needs that can be covered and addressed in the most unique way and potent way when they happen in a gender-based group. For example, women may share some needs that are connected with the physiology, with the biology of women, and there's a certain intimacy and a certain openness which happens when only women gather to explore and discuss these topics. Of course, men can be witnesses and be part of this kind of gatherings when these topics and needs are covered. But from our experience and from what other women said, is that there is some kind of sacred space and particular dynamic that is created when only women gather. The same happens with men. When men come together, again there's a certain energy, a certain openness, a certain dynamic which happens only when men come together. So having this particular context when the two groups gather, we believe that it is important to create contexts which facilitate healthy explorations, learning and development in gender-based groups. Women gathering together and men gathering together is an ancient practice well documented and researched by anthropologists and educators who write about how in indigenous cultures, in nature-based tribes, women were gathering together to perform their ceremonies, their experiences, to tell their stories. And men as well were gathering together to be initiated, to learn from the older men. So the art of men's work and women's work was kind of lost in the modern society. Therefore, through this project, we tried to reconnect with the ancient practice of men and women's work. So what can happen in men and women's work? Well, lots of things can happen. The first thing that can happen is to experience a sense of feeling awkward, especially among men. Many men say that I feel anxious, because being the first time only with men in a circle can be a little bit intimidating for men. There can be thoughts of comparison, comparing with the others. How do they look? How do they are and behave in comparison with me? How am I compared with them? But once these obstacles are overcome, and if the facilitators are strong in their guidance and rooted in their wholeness, magic can happen. Magic can happen because the feminine and masculine energies are moving through these circles. When we come together as men and as women, there is a possibility for deep connection. If the circles are grounded in some strong principles and integrity, healing can happen, empowerment can happen, revelations can happen. And here I want to bring some ideas around the principles of building and doing this kind of work. Mainly this work is led by one or more facilitators, 2, 3, or even more if there's a large large group. These facilitators, they need to have a consistent training in human development, either as coaches, mentors, trainers, counselors, psychologists, guides, but there needs to be a consistent training in working with groups and individuals. One that this is covered is very important, the integrity of the facilitator. The facilitator has to be a space holder, has to hold the space for the work to be done. The facilitators needs also to have a clear idea of what he or she wants to do. Is it a sharing circle? Is it an experiential flow? Are there some specific activities that need to happen? So the facilitator or facilitators need to have specific objectives, specific intentions. So as a facilitator, you may want to set 1, 2, 3 or several intentions or objectives. What do you want to develop? What do you want the people to experience? Another element besides the professional preparation, the intention, there needs to be some ground rules, some principles that help the container, that help the creation of a safe space in which women or men can get really serious about the work. And these guidelines, they help to create a safe space, but also a space for deep learning and why not transformation. And I want to name a few such principles that we believe are important when doing this work. One of them is integrity. We need to have integrity. As facilitators, not to wear masks, not to play cool, to be cocky, to show off, but really to be humble and at the same time bold, courageous for this work. A second principle is confidentiality. What is shared in the circle should be kept secret and honored and stay secret in the circle. So inviting people to keep the confidentiality of what is being shared. And we often invite everyone in the group to put a hand in the air as a sign of, yeah, I commit to confidentiality. Another principle is speaking in I statements, speaking about ourselves, avoiding generalizations. Something like, I feel like this, for me it was like that, instead of, when you are in this kind of experiences, when you are a man it's like this, or when you are a woman it's like that. And this is bringing people in the theories, in the mind, and the I statements, the I speech brings us to our stories, to our hearts. And often as facilitators, we invite participants to go back to I statements, to I speech. Another principle is not to give advice, solutions, suggestions to fix someone. We believe very much that everyone is responsible for their well-being, for their processes. And anyway, whatever we suggest, whatever we advise, very often is not serving anyone, because it's only our own interpretation and projection. Another idea is that we bring awareness of the rescuing element. It is common that when we gather in circles, we get intense, emotional, we share personal stories, and then some people may feel touched and may want to rescue the others. Oh, poor you, you know, if I'm crying and there's someone next to me, they may console me, touch me, or hug me. And we say no to this. Let everyone be in their own process. And if you really want to support someone and ask someone, wait a little bit, let the people go through their process, through their breakdowns, breakthroughs, and then at the end, somewhere during the day, you may go to this person and ask for consent. Can I hug you? Can I tell you something? And please really be mindful. Another principle is that what we offer are invitations. So the activities we propose are not mandatory. We don't want to force anyone to do anything. And we want to name this. We want to name that everything is an invitation, and you have the total freedom and responsibility and power to take it or not. So these are a few principles, a few ideas that create a safe container in which people feel respected, free to share what they want, and engage with the others. Another idea that we try to do in men's gatherings and women's gatherings is to bring people from their minds to their hearts. And this sounds easy, but it can be one of the hardest things. There's a famous quote which says that the longest road a man can walk is the road from his mind to his heart. So we strongly encourage people to leave the mind aside and speak from the heart. And in order to bring this forward, there are several practices, there are several activities, and some ways of doing this. And I want to name two of them, and actually one is an activity and one is more like a principle. And I'm going to start with the principle. So the principle is to model. So as a facilitator, we are modeling what we expect or want to happen, you know. So if I want vulnerability, depth, truth speaking, from the heart speaking, I can be a model for that. And when I'm sharing, I can be an example of vulnerability, of speaking from the heart, of being spontaneous. And people learn. We are social beings, and we learn when we look at each other. And so this is the first principle, to model what we want to bring and experience in the circle. And the second practice which can help people transition and shift from the mind to the heart is one practice, one activity that we bring it very often in most of the programs that we do, and this is the way of the council. The way of the council is a ceremony, a sacred practice in which people gather in circle if we meet in person, but it can be done also online. And in this practice, we gather to share stories and to listen to each other's stories. And it's a ceremony because it involves some particular elements that bring a sacred energy, that bring the mysteries, and there are a couple of intentions as well. And just briefly presenting the way of council, you can Google it, you can find more information about this if you search by yourself. But just some ideas is that there's a talking object held by the person that is speaking. There's a topic that is explored. The topic is a deep one, an important one, offered by the facilitator. And this talking object is passed from one person to the other. And the sharing and the listening is based on 4 intentions. The first one is to speak from the heart, from our depths, from our truth. The second intention is to listen with the heart, with the ears of our heart, to be fully present, to imagine the stories of the others. Third intention is to be spontaneous, to allow the story to unfold in the present moment without rehearsing or planning or thinking of what to say. And the fourth intention is to go to the heart of the matter, to speak the essence, to leave the unnecessary details and go and speak about the core, the juice. So when we follow these 4 intentions, we connect with our hearts and we speak to the hearts of the others. And very often, deep and profound and healing and empowering stories are shared, which create unity, strength, courage, compassion between people. We want to offer you a couple of examples of activities that we have used and you can also use in the work with women and men. There are embodiment practices, movement, dancing, practices that involve deep sharing, like pair work, listening without interruption. There is the practice of counsel, of sharing deeply from the heart. There are outdoor experiences that are more experiential, more embodied games and practices. There are rituals, ceremonies, singing, storytelling. These circles, these programs are fundamental for the initiation of people into manhood and womanhood. We live in a world that is very often fragmented. There are walls between genders, there's discrimination, there's violence, there's misogyny. Women have been affected by patriarchal systems and beliefs. They have been oppressed for way too long time. And women need to gather together to grow their voices, their strength, and take their honorable place in the world. And men as well need to connect with their hearts, to open, to drop the shield, to drop the armor, so we can connect with each other. We can be brothers in arms. And we need this word, definitely we need it. And we were blessed that this project gave us the opportunity to do this work. Together with Anna and Andrea, I believe we created beautiful experiences, which were big lessons for us as well. And we are learning and growing, and the ripples of this project are spreading, and more initiatives that are related to women's work and men's work are happening. Until now I have spoken about men's work and women's work, but there is also a third way, working about important topics in mixed groups. Mixed group work is different than regular trainings and workshops that happen in mixed groups, because the intention of mixed groups is to build bridges and deep connection between the two genders. It is in a way making the whole, making the two pieces come together in a harmonious whole. Because we very often are causing harm to each other. Men are causing harm to women, and sometimes women cause harm to men, and which creates stereotypes, tension, fragmentation, conflict, hate, pain, misogyny. And we very often in the modern society, we live separated, fragmented. So there is a need for the sacred union between the two. And this can happen with mixed group work. And mixed group work is carrying the intention of making healing between the two genders, making peace, creating understanding, compassion, deep connections. And very often there are practices that involve deep listening. For example, one practice that we did was a council, a particular version of the council, which was the fishbowl council. And this variety, this version of the council is happening in two circles. So you have one gender in the middle, in a circle, and the other gender outside, surrounding and holding the space for the first gender. And there's a question, and this question is answered firstly by the people in the middle, and then the roles change and you have the witnesses stepping into the circle. So we had this practice, the fishbowl council, and it was beautiful, really beautiful, deep experience. In one of the councils we had the question. The question was, what is in your heart about the other gender? So this was the question, and we had for example, men coming first and sharing what is in their heart about the other gender, about the women, and then they stepped out and women went in and they answered their story. So it was a beautiful experience of witnessing each other. We also, in the program that we did, we created some rituals and ceremonies in which we had a departure ceremony in which the two genders, after being together, they separated and they went and they did their workshops and particular work. And then we had the return ceremony, and it was beautiful. There was drumming and singing and looking into each other's eyes, and that was a powerful experience for some of the participants. There can be sessions in which people speak about their side of the story. We had an exercise called Abigail, in which both men and women had to work with a fictional story that brought up to the surface lots of gender roles, stereotypes, conditioning that we have around men and women. There can be practices in which women speak about their characteristics, their specific needs, their cycles, their biology, and men are listening and learning, and the other way around. These can be also very powerful practices, because very often we don't know all the secrets of the other gender. So having one gender reveal its stories to the other can have a beautiful, strong impact. And these were a few examples of mixed group work, which happens again in the context of men and women. Alright, we are approaching the end of this video. In this video we shared ideas about the lessons we learned from this project, Women Empowerment. Lessons that are equally shared by the three of us, Anna, Książek, Andrea Pucci, and myself, Bogdan Romanică. We wanted to offer you a few thoughts, insights, ideas, possibilities, invitations that can help you engage with this work. If you are a man or a woman who never experienced gender-based work, we strongly encourage you to give it a try, to come and attend some online workshops or programs, or also offline, in person. If you are a facilitator and you feel attracted for creating experiences for men and women, we strongly encourage you to check the manual, the booklet that we created, and you can find the link to this resource in the description. And go through this, get insights, be inspired. There are plenty of resources in this booklet. Explore them. There are books, videos, and many more. Go and find them and explore them. And you feel drawn to do this work, do it. Just call for a gathering of women or men in your community. Gather for a storytelling night, for a hike in nature among men or women. Gather and do the work, because it is important. We need to step more into manhood and womanhood. Be mature versions of adults that grow communities, families, initiatives, projects. We are the creators of the better world that we want to see. From my side and the side of Anna and Andrea, we want to thank you, to offer you a big gratitude for following this video, and we hope we will meet in some of our programs. More information about us you will find in the description of this video. We hope that this was a beautiful and meaningful video and experience, and we hope that together we will make the world a better place. Thank you so much. Deep gratitude from Anna, Andrea and Bogdan.